Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. Today is the 2nd of September 2021. These are the stories that will be under the discussion during the course of the show. We will begin with the latest situation as far as Afghanistan is concerned, whether it be the situation in Panjshir, where of course Taliban are strongly gaining hold slowly and steadily, and they have called out to those that are opposing the rule in Panjshir, and of course they are still having some kind of a defense as far as this only province that the Taliban did not have under control of the 34 provinces. On top of that, there is also leaked audio that has come out between the conversation of Joe Biden as well as Ashraf Ghani, in which a lot of question marks of course come out as far as the perception of the future of Afghanistan is concerned. At the same time, the Chaman border could be closed for some time over security threats. This has been said by the Minister for Interior Sheikh Rashid Saab, and also Foreign Minister Shah Qureshi Saab has said disengaging Taliban, abandoning the Afghans will create a space for terrorist outfits. This is going to be our leading segment. Then our second segment, ladies and gentlemen, concerns a very sad news that has come to us, and that concerns the veteran Kashmiri separatist leader and former chief of the all parties Hurriyat conference, Syed Ali Shah Geelani, who passed away on Wednesday. This was told to everybody by the APHC leader Abdul Hamid Lone. As per the statement that was taken out by Mr. Lone, Mr. Gilani died at his home at around 10 p.m. He was 92 years of age. Different, of course, obituaries have been coming out, whether it be our Prime Minister or the different leaders in Pakistan. This is going to be our second segment. Then we'll be talking about Dr. Amjad Saqib. He is the CEO of Akhuwat Foundation and has recently gotten the equivalent of the Nobel Prize in Asia. Not only that, he has had a lot of other awards that have been given to him as well. Different initiatives that he started, not now, but a couple of decades back. We'll be talking to him about how he got the idea about these initiatives and how they have been going along since then. Let's go to our first segment, ladies and gentlemen, that concerns the latest situation in Afghanistan, what has been happening, what is to be expected in the next days. More in the following report.
In the aftermath of the stunning fall of Afghanistan to the Taliban, the political and strategic challenges to the Taliban rule are not vanishing. Amid boisterous show of power whereby Taliban paraded in Kandahar some of the military hardware, including armored vehicles, they captured during the takeover, the Panjshir Valley is bracing for a decisive fight. Northeastern Panjshir, the defiant stranglehold of resistance against Taliban, is the only province among Afghanistan's 34 provinces which has yet to fall to the group. Ahmed Massoud, the son of anti-Soviet resistance commander Ahmad Shah Massoud, and Amrullah Saleh, the former vice president of Afghanistan, are attempting to resurrect the hitherto dormant Northern Alliance in order to challenge the Taliban rule. The Taliban has yet to form a new government and their international recognition remains in question, but the group's Shura has reportedly completed consultations on a new inclusive government. It is pertinent to mention here that the Taliban secured seat of power, Kabul, without any bloodshed by robust engagements with other groups, and it has also engaged Massoud and Saleh in negotiations. In a record speech addressed to Afghans in Panjshir, senior Taliban leader Amir Khan Muttaqi called on the rebels to put down their weapons by assuring that the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan is home for all Afghans. A spokesman for the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan, which groups the forces in the Panjshir Valley, said on Wednesday that the Taliban forces had launched an offensive 2 days ago, but attack had been repulsed. Dmitry Zhrinov, the Russian ambassador in Kabul, has reportedly warned that the Taliban could capture Panjshir in a few hours, but they were showing restraint because they want to avoid unnecessary bloodshed.
Now, to talk about the latest situation emanating from Afghanistan, we've been joined by Qamar Cheema Saab. He is a foreign affairs analyst. Thank you very much, Cheema Saab, to have joined us. Qamar Cheema Saab, let's talk about Panjshir first of all. And of course, what do you expect? Do you feel there's going to be some kind of opposition from the Northern Alliance that is there, Amrullah Saleh, Ahmad Shah Massoud?
Well, I personally feel that this time there will not be a resistance. Because even if the Taliban go for an offensive on Panjshir, yes, I can understand that there is a resolve in Panjshir. They are ideologically, politically motivated, and nobody has ever gone into the Panjshir Valley. Even the Taliban didn't go back into the 1996, even the Soviets and the others. But I think this time situation is different. For example, the Russians, the Americans, no one is going to finance or going to support any such kind of a struggle because the Americans have just left Afghanistan and they won't come back with supporting such kind of factions. The Russians want Taliban to be back in power. The Iranians also want that, and obviously Pakistan would like that the people of Afghanistan should have someone which represents them truly. So, in this point, I personally believe that if there is some kind of a struggle or there is a violence or the Taliban try to attack, maybe the Panjshir Valley may not face, they may fight for some time, but they may not go for keeping on, or they may not face that aggression. And at some point, they will have to surrender if there is no external support. But remember, this is a landlocked place, this valley having just 175,000 people in it, some 4 or 5 districts. So it doesn't seem that it will stand very high and it stand guard and it will protect its people this time.
No, now the message that was given by the Taliban leader Amir Khan Muttaqi to put down the weapons to the rebels, do you feel that this will have any effect on these factions that are there in Panjshir as we speak?
Well, I think the Taliban have this position that they want to give a message to the international community that they are the only legitimate player in Afghanistan and nobody is challenging the new rule. So for that, obviously, they need to give a message to the international community. And at the same time, they want to tell the international community that they are giving a peaceful message and they don't want to get into the bloodshed. Remember, if there is a bloodshed, even in Panjshir, and even if there is no inclusive government in Afghanistan, the Taliban will have to face the wrath of the West. And remember, the Americans and the others time and again have said that you can take over in much of the discussions that even if Taliban take over Kabul and other places, they must not go for killing the people. So I think Taliban have maintained that word and calm so far, which gives a message, which has given messages across the world that this time Taliban are changed. So even Taliban ideologically are not changed, but behaviorally they are changed and they are showing that they are more inclusive. They want pluralist perspective and they want others to be accommodated. So this is the messaging for the international community and alarm for the people of Panjshir and for the Ahmed Masood and Amrullah Saleh as well.
Now let's come out a little bit from Panjshir and let's talk about Afghanistan in general. There are reports that are emanating from Kabul that the Taliban are preparing to reveal the new Afghan government. Of course, Ahmadullah Muttaqi has said that a ceremony was being prepared at the presidential palace, and Tolo News has also reported that. How do you foresee any government that is formed in Afghanistan? Do you feel that the Afghan Taliban are going to include other factions, or do you feel that it's just going to be the Afghan Taliban for the moment?
Well, initially, I think there are a few angles to see this. The first angle is that Taliban will not like to have, or even if the top leadership wants, but the second tier and the third tier leadership would not like to have all those people, other people to be in the power sharing formula in Afghanistan in the Taliban-led government, because those second tier, third tier, and above all the people who have been fighting on ground, they've been thinking that these are enemies and they may not accept them. The second thing is to give a message to everyone that we want an inclusive government. The third thing is that obviously the Taliban have a completely different socio-religious and cultural framework and even a political framework for running the country. And how come these people can make an effect and impact in the system? But at the same time, if these people come for an inclusive government helping the Taliban, they may draw a constitution which can be more moderate. So if people like Hamid Karzai, Abdullah and many others, Gulbuddin Hikmatyar and many others, if they join Taliban, so they may influence the constitution, the future social contract of Afghanistan that is going to be very beneficial for the Afghan people. So if this is going to be any platform or any formula or any legal framework which the Afghan people need, that constitution should be very much inclusive. And for that, I think even if the offer come from the Taliban, all those people who have stood against Taliban, they must join for a broader, inclusive and pluralistic constitution which gives space to every faction in Afghanistan.
Before we come to the inclusive part of the government, let's talk about the softening of the international bodies as far as the Afghan Taliban are concerned. The United Nations, let's begin with that, has kind of softened up to Taliban, has omitted the word Taliban from its statements that name the groups that are required not to support terrorists operating from Afghanistan. Do you feel this is kind of a first step towards recognizing any form of government that the Afghan Taliban might form in the future?
Well, Barsab, the first thing in this is that the Indians have shown a double face. For all their life,
Yes.
they have been standing against the Taliban, but in the presidency of theirs, remember, they are the non-permanent member of the United Nations and UN Security Council, and because this is a revolving chair every month. The August month was for the India. So in the chairmanship of India, the Taliban are now being declared that they are not terrorists. But the media, the people, they're calling them terrorists, but the government are giving a different statement in New York. That is the first thing. The second thing is obviously the international community understands that if they do not recognize Taliban, how come they are going to fight the Islamic State? So I think the Americans and the others have realized the more important threat is Al-Qaeda and Islamic State of Khorasan in Afghanistan.
And the TTP as well, of course.
And the TTP, obviously. TTP is the one which has been continuously being funded by the Indians. And above all, we have seen one of the frustration among the Indians is that they just cannot give that logistic and financial support to the TTP website. So the important point here is that everyone believes that, and this was the Trump's idea and now the Biden's idea, that it's better to finance Taliban, to give support to the Taliban so that they can kill or they can fight Islamic State. Rather, Americans are fighting with everyone. So I think, and that is how somehow the global opinion is changing, Taliban's behavior is changing. So both are coming together and they're getting closer when it comes to the new phase and to making the new administration and the dimension of Afghanistan.
All right, Cheema sahab, let's come to the United States and Taliban and the relationship that has been there between the two. Now, President Biden said in a tweet, and I quote, "I promised the American people I would end this war today. I've honored that commitment." He talked about when, of course, the last of the American troops withdrew from Afghanistan. Now, of late, there has been an audio leak of a conversation between Ashraf Ghani and Joe Biden. There are a lot of question marks that come out of that conversation. What do you make of that? You must have heard of that. You must have read about that.
Yes, the transcript that has come out with the President Biden and the former President Ashraf Ghani, they were talking. But I think you must have seen, if you have read an article of Afghan General Sami, which has written in New York Times, he said that yes, this is a failure of the Afghan military. They couldn't fight, but that was a political failure because the Americans and the Afghan political leadership, they stopped supporting them. So the point here is, and above all, what Ashraf Ghani was saying, he was just criticizing Pakistan for nothing, while knowing that the Americans were not giving them air support. They stopped giving them air support, and there was a frustration. And above all, the Afghan general who wrote an article in New York Times says that the frustration among the rank and file of the Afghan army started when Trump signed an agreement with the Taliban. So that was where there was a frustration among the of the Afghan army. And above all, and then you might have seen there was a cronyism, the bureaucracy was corrupt, the political elite was corrupt, and they didn't even fight because there was no sense of nationalism or there was no sense of patriotism, and it was an entirely an artificial apparatus which was standing. But there was some of the people in Afghan army who wanted, but the Ashraf Ghani didn't have any support. He didn't want they should fight. He lost his support because he was stubborn. He lost the American support because he was not listening to the Americans that he should come forward and he should share power with the Taliban. So this happened that Ashraf Ghani could not hold its power, and he was not a popular president. So he didn't listen to the Americans, and at the end of the day, he lost everything.
Of course, and there have been a lot of remarks as far as that conversation has also come out. Of course, the transcript in detail has come out, whether it be the issues of perception from the US side towards the government of Ashraf Ghani that Ashraf Ghani did not adhere to, or the other issues that existed between the two leaders. Now, one of the challenges that the Afghan Taliban or any government that is formed in the next couple of days, whether it be solely of the Afghan Taliban or other, is an economic and humanitarian catastrophe. Now, Foreign Minister Shah Qureshi Saab, while being interviewed by Sky News, said that disengaging Taliban, abandoning them, will create a space for terrorist outfits. Or on the other one hand, there is this humanitarian and economic issue. On the other hand, if the foreign bodies and if we know by the past of this region, if they abandon Afghanistan, do you feel this will lead to a lot of issues that we are predicting?
Well, Barsa, you are absolutely right. The point to ponder here is for the international community, and I think Pakistan must keep sensitizing to the rest of the world because we are bordering with Afghanistan. There must not be an economic apartheid of Afghanistan. If there is an economic apartheid, the cash-starved government in Kabul, they will completely collapse. So I think now the Americans have more leverage on Afghanistan than they were having the soldiers here. So now they have to give them an economic support. Economic support in terms of first of them giving them a political legitimacy by recognizing them. Secondly, by releasing the money which is in the IMF and which is in the American banks, they should be released. The third thing is obviously the more the country will get normal, the more it is going to be beneficial for its own people. Otherwise, everything will collapse. And remember, if they don't have money, if the Afghanis value is going down time and again, the most important thing for Pakistan will be that we are sharing a border and we can see many social ills here in Pakistan. We can see a rise in the drugs export, and you have seen that the United Nations Drug Office is saying that so far Taliban were being financed by 60% by the drugs, and more than $400 million drugs they were selling back in last year. So I think we have to be very careful so that these drugs export does not increase if the Taliban are not or the Afghan society is not properly mainstreamed by the global community and they are not politically recognized. So the political recognition will give them the political stability. If there is a political stability, that will lead to the economic stability of Afghanistan and the society, which has prospered a lot, which has seen a growth a lot. They will be more normal and they will be behaving and living in a normal way with the regional countries and the international community as well.
Thank you very much, Qamar Cheema Saab, to have joined us, foreign policy analyst Qamar Cheema Saab, talking to us about the latest situation emanating from Afghanistan and, of course, how it all is going to board with the new government that will be formed pretty soon. Our second segment is a very sad one indeed. A Kashmiri leader, veteran Kashmiri separatist leader, and of course the former chief of the All Parties Hurriyat Conference, Syed Ali Shah Geelani, passed away on Wednesday. He was 92 years of age. He was under house arrest for the last many years. More in the following report.
Freedom movement of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Syed Ali Gilani, former chairman of All Parties Hurriyat Conference, personifies the epitome of resistance against a draconian fascist saffron terrorist Indian regime. The iconic leader, often dubbed as face of resistance, embraced martyrdom under detention in Srinagar on Wednesday night. On the orders of the Indian government in 2015, the residence of Syed Ali Gilani was converted into a sub-jail and the order was still in vogue. This protracted illegal detention took heavy toll upon the health of the veteran veteran Hurriyat leader, as Indian police restricted his movement and use of communication services. According to Kashmir Media Service, hysterical Indian government imposed strict security clampdown and is not even allowing Kashmiri masses to see the face of their beloved leader for the last time, and also hampered the dignified burial of the cherished Kashmiri leader. This conduct exposes the shockingly cruel face of Indian government, which poses as a secular democracy and practices autocratic tyranny. Gilani had been a formidable force since the early 1960s when he began campaigning for the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir merger with Pakistan as a member of the Kashmir Assembly to the chagrin of Imperial India. The life of Syed Ali Gilani depicts relentless struggle against Indian despotism, whereby he rejected Indian imperial designs and organized massive indigenous Kashmiri resistance.
हम पाकिस्तानी हैं, पाकिस्तान हमारा है। हम पाकिस्तानी हैं, पाकिस्तान हमारा है।
The staunch campaigner against Indian occupation had been under illegal house arrest since the past 11 years. The custodial death of Syed Ali Gilani unravels blatant disregard of Indian regime for human rights and fundamental freedoms. The Azad Jammu and Kashmir government has announced 3 days of mourning on the death of Syed Ali Gilani. Premier Imran Khan paid glowing tributes to the courageous struggle of Gilani. Pakistan is observing official day of mourning and Pakistan flag will fly at half-mast.
Now, Dr. Waleed Rasool, who is a Kashmiri leader, joins us online. Dr. Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. Dr. Saab, first of all, my deepest and most profound condolences on the demise of Mr. Gilani. We have lost a great Kashmiri leader. What are the feelings that are emanating within the Kashmiris?
I think we, the Kashmiris who are fighting against under occupation, are very much clear that the path which he had chosen and the sacrifices he rendered for the cause of right to self-determination, and he had the clear path he has given that our ultimate goal is to have to accede to Pakistan. His lesson is given by his red hot blood for which he spent his entire life. And there is no iota of doubt in it that his teachings, he was our father of nation, his teachings are clear that we have to continue our struggle and we have to render huge sacrifices, despite it is a great loss to our freedom struggle. But the writings which he had put behind it by his own hand and the autobiography he wrote while he was behind bars, when he was interrogated, what was his lessons for the nation? They are writing on the wall against Indian occupation. And it will continue by hook or by crook. And we Kashmiri know that the people who are struggling against occupation, they are in the struggle, and they have to continue the struggle, and they have to continue the path which was given by Syed Ali Gilani, the father of our nation.
Now, Dr. Saab, when we talk of Mr. Gilani, since 1962, he has been more or less under house arrest. Why are the Indians so afraid of him? Why were they so afraid of him? Why didn't they let him live and lead a normal life? Why didn't they let him go forward with the struggle that he wanted to? Because he was quite adamant as far as his point of view was for the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir.
Look, it is a simple thing that he had spent his entire life for the peaceful struggle of Kashmir cause. He contested election and won the electoral constituency of Sopore thrice, and also the Muslim United Front election in 1987. He was a popular leader who is having the support of masses. And it is why that Indian is fighting, because Syed Ali Gilani is the name of an icon of entire nation of the Jammu and Kashmir who are resisting Indian occupation. It is also the antidote against the Indian propaganda that these people have adopted every and any peaceful path to achieve their right of self-determination, including they contested election under the Indian Constitution so that they will reach to the assemblies and then they can adopt a peaceful this resolution against Indian occupation, and then they will be freed against the clutches of the mayhem of the India. Because he was the popular, because he was the icon of the resistance, because he was the mass leader of the Kashmir struggle, because it was, his every word was order for his people who are struggling against Indian occupation, because he was putting the gods by his words while giving the encouragement to his people who are fighting for the right of self-determination. It is why that Hindutva driving regime, present regime, which calls herself the biggest democracy, are frightened with Syed Ali Gilani and his tall political posture and his tall acceptance by his masses and his guidance towards his masses and the peaceful path, the rightness path, the path which is having the legal backing, the path which is legitimized path to the civil rights determination. He was Syed Ali Shah. It is why that he has been put for decades behind bars and his own house was converted in the jail. It is why they are frightened that he should not be allowed to bury in the masses. He should not be allowed to bury, to carry his last funeral when he is not with us. It is why they are frightened that Syed Ali Gilani, even he is not physically with us, but he is spiritually living in each heart and soul of the Kashmir.
Dr. Saab, there's one thing to so-called torture a man who wanted an independence or the right to self-determination for the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. It is another thing altogether, and it's stooping to another level when that person passes away at the age of 92, that you do not even let him have a proper burial. Why? I mean, I fail to understand why. And with the curfew that is also present in the region, what are the Indian authorities and the Indian government trying to achieve with that?
Actually, when there is a mass resistance and the Indian tried her ultimate force to kill and to smash the resistance movement. But since you know that when the leader like Syed Ali Gilani, who never bowed the Indian line, despite they increases the gravity of mayhem, the gravity of the power was increased up to the quantum that anyone would have been frightened. But he was the man who never bowed for the offers provided by the Indian government. He never bowed to the Indian policies. He never moved even an inch from his position that he shall be given, his nation shall be given right of self-determination. He always talks with the argument. He always talked what is our legal position. He always talked with logic and reason. It is why that Indian government was frightened with such a tall personality like Syed Ali Gilani. But Indian government is still in dilemma that it is not only Syed Ali Gilani had physically left abroad, but I am conveying you because I have been jailed with Syed Ali Gilani. I was with him in Srinagar Central Jail in 1984. He was teaching us what is the peaceful path and how we have to achieve the goal and how we have to reach every and any person under the Indian occupation and how we have to convey our message and how logic and reason should work and how we can slip our freedom from the jaws of the Indian occupation. That this was the personality of Syed Ali Gilani. He has wrote his autobiography while spending his life in 16 years behind the bars. I will suggest to the entire nation, even the Pakistan or the people who are in the Indian occupation or abroad, they must read his book. He has himself written it by his own hand. And these are 2 volumes, which is his last book, that how he carried forward his freedom struggle and what were the challenges, how he removed and how he was moving to and fro from each village, to each city.
Of course. I mean, his services, the services of Mr. Gilani will always be remembered, Dr. Waleed Rasool Saab. And of course, I hope that his life, his services will set up an example for all those who are trying to fight for the right for self-determination for the hapless people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. May the soul of Mr. Gilani rest in eternal peace. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. Thank you very much, Dr. Waleed Rasool Saab, to have joined us to talk about the personality that was Mr. Gilani. And now let's come to another personality, and that is Dr. Amjad Saqib. He is the CEO of Akhuwat Foundation. Amongst the other prizes, he has recently received Asia's Nobel Prize, that is the Ramon Magsaysay Award 2021. Let's hear a little clip of Dr. Saab.
Means brotherliness. And in the words of the Prophet Muhammad, if one has a loaf of bread, half of it rightfully belongs to a person who has none. An innovative man used this purest of concept to achieve his vision of zero poverty. Thus was born Akhuwat Islamic Microfinance, Pakistan's largest microfinance institution. For the past 2 decades, it has provided zero-interest loans to over 3 million families, irrespective of their creed, caste, color, or gender. What began as a lending program has since expanded to a full-service institution that provides medical, financial, and psychosocial aid to the marginalized. Behind all these transformative programs is Dr. Muhammad Amjad Saqib, who is paving the way for the dream of poverty eradication in Pakistan. Through his greatness of spirit, he reminds the world what it truly means to be brothers.
We are joined by Dr. Amjad Saqib, CEO of Akhuwat Foundation. Sir, first of all, congratulations on getting the equivalent of the Nobel Peace Prize for Asia. How does it feel?
Thank you very much, sir. I'm extremely obliged and delighted to be invited to this prestigious PTB World. Of course, it's a matter of great pleasure, but the biggest thing is that we as a Muslim don't work for any worldly reward. This is our intense desire to please Allah Almighty. So the whole effort has been focused on one simple thing, that once we are able to meet our Creator, we should have something to offer. But in worldly words, of course, this has improved the image of Pakistan. It is a great honor for every Pakistani that we have been able to offer to the whole world a solution for poverty. So we are part of solution. And this home-made indigenous concept of mawakhat or solidarity with the poor and interest-free lending, this is, alhamdulillah, one of the finest examples of creativity and innovation of Pakistan and Pakistani nation. So the whole credit goes to the poor people of Pakistan who made this experiment a great success. 3 million people getting more than 1,000 million US dollars and returning that amount at a rate of 100%. Isn't it a classic example of the integrity of this nation?
Now, Dr. Saab, you're a doctor by profession as well. Was it that yearning to help people that comes to you naturally when you become a doctor and you see and you treat the people that led to the foundation of Akhuwat around 2 decades back?
Yes, this is one of the reasons that when I saw the suffering humanity lying in the bed, helpless, and in search of some medicine or some treatment, so that inspired me. But subsequently, I realized that this conviction and this compassion to serve the poor is very important. But my abilities are not vast, suited to that profession. So I changed the profession, but the humanity, the lesson of humanity and service and compassion, that was ingrained in my heart and mind during my medical days.
All right, so many different programs under Akhuwat. If we start talking about the Akhuwat Islamic Microfinance, Akhuwat Education Services, Akhuwat Faisalabad Institute of Research, Science and Technology, Akhuwat Clothes Bank, Akhuwat Khwaja Sara Support System, Akhuwat Health Services, Kasur Mawakhat Program, and of course the Akhuwat College University, among so many other programs that you have launched. Has it been an uphill task for you, or this zest, this zeal for helping humanity, especially in Pakistan, comes very naturally to you?
Yes, it's very natural, not only to me, but to any Pakistani to help others. You know, in our streets, in our, towns and villages, there are, everywhere you will find one Abdul Sittar Eidhi who is so keen to serve others. So we have done nothing new. We just capitalized on the existing potential of goodness amongst the Pakistanis. So whether it is interest-free lending, whether it is education, whether it is serving the transgenders or collecting clothes for those who don't have those clothes. So this is, the whole concept is brotherhood, sharing and compassion. So it might have different avenues, but our major programs are microfinance and education. And both these programs are, in fact, interest-free lending. When we give education, we don't charge fee. We ask the student that you will pay your fee after 10 years, after 20 years, when you are able to pay, so that somebody else could, get benefit. So this is all Qarz-e Hasan, and this is all brotherhood. This is all sharing. But our focus is on education and microfinance for enterprise starting.
Dr. Amjad Saqib, how do you and where do you get the time amongst all of these different works that you are doing to author 9 different books? How do you do that?
That is the best thing. When everything becomes passion, just go, if you allow me to use Urdu word ishq, when you are, seeing your work as an ishq, then, you can devote 24 hours, 7 days, 365 days for that particular task. So everything is, just sharing our vision. When we take some action, we share our vision. When we write something, we share our vision. When I speak to people, I go to universities, I give trainings, I, attend some capacity building sessions. The whole purpose of life is sharing the vision of Mawakhat as taught by Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. So this is the best thing I can do. I enjoy, whenever I sleep, I dream of Akhuwat. So it is day and night Akhuwat. We live Akhuwat. We lead a life of Akhuwat. This is not confined to me only. All our board of directors, all our employees, all our borrowers. So this is one single sole mission in our life.
How important is poverty alleviation and social mobilization in a country such as Pakistan?
That's the most important thing. Poverty is poison. Poverty is pain. And, we can't be happy, and there can't be a peace if there is, poverty in a nation. So inequality and injustice, that is not tolerable in 21st century. God has created the whole universe. This is all, whatever it is available belongs to him, and whatever belongs to him belongs to the entire, whole world. So we must share, we must give whatever is more than our needs. As a human being, I can't think of a world where 1% people have 99% of wealth and 99% of people have 1% of wealth. This is injustice. This is jungle's law. An equitable life, a life where justice and opportunity is available to everybody. That is the ultimate objective and aim of all of us. You are having a vision. You have an ideal. We have an ideal, and that ideal is equity, and a world where everybody has self-respect and justice. So that's our responsibility.
That is so important. That needs to be a keen responsibility and a prime responsibility of all of us. These awards are not only a recognition of all the good quality work that Dr. Saab has been doing, but also serves an example for so many others to follow. Where there's a will, where there's a passion, there's always a way. And social mobilization, poverty alleviation, as has also been initiated by our Prime Minister through the different programs that this current government has also taken forward, needs to be one of the prime objectives of us as a nation, of us as a society, in order to achieve what is needed for a country like Pakistan. With that, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with some news segments and stories that matter to you and to us. Till then, stay safe, get yourselves vaccinated and follow the SOPs. Allah Hafiz.